Harry S. Truman was a man who never expected to be president. He came from humble beginnings in the American heartland, a place far from the power and politics of Washington, D.C. Born in Lamar, Missouri on May 8, 1884, Harry was the son of a farmer and livestock dealer. He was a quiet, bookish boy with thick glasses who loved to read history and play the piano. His eyesight was poor, which kept him from many of the rough-and-tumble games other boys played. Instead, he found adventure in the pages of books, devouring stories about great leaders and pivotal moments in history, never imagining he would one day become a central figure in such a story himself. The Truman family moved several times during Harry's youth, eventually settling in Independence, Missouri. He was very close to his family, especially his mother, Martha Ellen Young Truman. After graduating from high school in 1901, his dream of attending the West Point Military Academy was dashed because of his poor vision. College was also not an option because his family could not afford it. Instead, young Harry took on a series of jobs: media group, archival photo of railroad construction workers, young man with timekeeper's pocket watch on railroad site at its stock at it distribute _equally, working as a timekeeper for a railroad construction company, and later as a clerk in 2 different Kansas City banks. These early experiences gave him a deep appreciation for the value of hard work and the daily struggles of ordinary people, a perspective he would carry with him for the rest of his life. In 1906, Harry's life took another turn when he returned to his family's 600-acre farm in Grandview. For more than a decade, he worked the land, rising before dawn to plow fields, plant crops, and tend to the livestock. It was a demanding, physical life that shaped his character, instilling in him a sense of discipline and responsibility. During this time, he also became active in the community, joining the Masonic Lodge and the National Guard. His life was one of routine and hard labor, but it was also a period of growth. He was learning how to manage a large operation, how to deal with people from all walks of life, and how to lead, even if it was just a small group of fellow soldiers in the Guard. When the United States entered World War I in 1917, Harry's life changed dramatically once again. Despite his age, he was already in his 30s. He helped organize his National Guard regiment and was sent to France as an artillery captain. Many doubted that the quiet man with glasses would make a good officer, but he proved them wrong. He was known for his steady leadership under fire and earned the respect and loyalty of his men. The war was a defining experience for Truman. It took him out of Missouri for the first time, exposed him to the wider world, and showed him that he had a talent for leadership that he had never fully realized before. After returning from the war, a local hero, Harry Truman decided to try his hand at business. He and an army friend, Eddie Jacobson, opened a men's clothing store, a haberdashery, in downtown Kansas City. For a short time, the business did well, and it seemed Truman had found his calling as a small business owner. However, a severe economic downturn in the early 1920s hit the country hard, and their store was one of its many casualties. The business failed, leaving Truman with a mountain of debt that he would spend the next 15 years diligently paying off. This failure was a difficult blow, but it taught him a valuable lesson about economic hardship and the fragility of financial security. His business career may have ended, but his reputation as a reliable and honest man had not gone unnoticed. He caught the attention of the Pendergast political machine, a powerful Democratic organization that controlled Kansas City politics. With their backing, Truman ran for and was elected as a judge for Jackson County in 1922. In this role, which was more of an administrative position than a judicial one, he was responsible for managing county finances, roads, and public buildings. He quickly earned a reputation for being incredibly efficient and scrupulously honest, a rare quality in the often corrupt world of machine politics. He fought to build better roads and a new courthouse, all while ensuring that public money was spent wisely. After serving as a county judge for several years, Truman set his sights higher. In 1934, with the continued support of the Pendergast machine, he ran for the United States Senate. It was a tough campaign, but but he traveled across Missouri speaking to voters in small towns and large cities, and his plain-spoken, down-to-earth style resonated with people. He won the election and arrived in Washington, D.C. as a junior senator. At first, many of his colleagues looked down on him, viewing him simply as a product of a corrupt political machine. They called him the senator from Pendergast and did not take him very seriously, underestimating the quiet man from Missouri. Slowly but surely, Truman proved his doubters wrong. He worked hard, studied the issues carefully, and was a loyal supporter of President Franklin D. Roosevelt's New Deal policies. His big break came during World War II, when he led a special committee to investigate waste and fraud in military spending. The Truman Committee, as it became known, saved the country millions of dollars and made Harry Truman a nationally recognized figure. He was praised for his fairness, his thoroughness, and his dedication to rooting out corruption. His work showed the American people that he was a man of integrity, a watchdog for the public good. In 1944, as President Franklin D. Roosevelt sought an unprecedented fourth term, the Democratic Party needed a new vice presidential candidate. The current vice president, Henry Wallace, was seen as too liberal by many party leaders. They wanted someone more moderate and dependable, and their eyes turned to the hard-working senator from Missouri. Harry Truman was not eager for the job. He was happy in the Senate. But he was also a loyal party man, and when Roosevelt himself asked him to join the ticket, he felt it was his duty to accept. The Roosevelt-Truman ticket won the election, and on January 20th, 1945, Harry S. Truman became the Vice President of the United States. His time as Vice President was short and uneventful. President Roosevelt was a very private leader and did not include Truman in his inner circle or share important information with him, especially concerning the war. For just 82 days, Truman's main role was to preside over the Senate. He had little idea of the immense burdens Roosevelt was carrying or the top-secret projects the nation was undertaking. Then, on the afternoon of April 12th, 1945, everything changed. He was summoned to the White House, where Eleanor Roosevelt met him and gently told him the shocking news. "Harry, the president is dead." In that moment, the farmer's son from Missouri became the 33rd president of the United States. Truman felt completely overwhelmed. He later told reporters, "I felt like the moon, the stars, and all the planets had fallen on me." He was stepping into the shoes of a giant, a man who had led the country for 12 years through the Great Depression and a world war. The war in Europe was nearing its end, but the fight against Japan in the Pacific was still raging, with predictions of a costly invasion that could kill hundreds of thousands of American soldiers. Almost immediately, Truman was briefed on a top-secret project he knew nothing about, the Manhattan Project, the successful development of the atomic bomb. He was now faced with a decision of unimaginable weight. The new president had to decide whether to use this terrible new weapon to force Japan's surrender and end the war quickly. He listened to the advice of his military and scientific advisors, who argued that an invasion of Japan would result in catastrophic casualties on both sides. After much deliberation, Truman made the difficult and controversial choice. On August 6, 1945, an American bomber dropped an atomic bomb on the city of Hiroshima. 3 days later, a second bomb was dropped on Nagasaki. Japan announced its surrender on August 15th, and World War II was finally over. The decision remains one of the most debated in history, but for Truman, it was a way to save American lives and bring a swift end to the global conflict. With the war over, President Truman faced the monumental task of guiding America and the world into a new era of peace. He played a crucial role in the formation of the United Nations, hoping to create an international body that could prevent future conflicts. However, a new threat was emerging. The Soviet Union, an ally during the war, began to impose communist control over the nations of Eastern Europe. This marked the beginning of the Cold War, a long period of tension and rivalry between the United States and the Soviet Union. Truman responded with a policy of containment, aiming to stop the spread of communism without starting another major war. To support this policy, he announced the Truman Doctrine, which pledged American support to free nations resisting communist takeovers, starting with Greece and Turkey. He also approved the Marshall Plan, a massive economic aid program to help rebuild the war-torn countries of Western Europe. The goal was to strengthen their economies and democracies so they would be less vulnerable to communist influence. These were bold and forward-thinking policies that reshaped American foreign policy for decades. At home, Truman also faced challenges, including a difficult transition to a peacetime economy and battles over civil rights, where he took the courageous step of desegregating the armed forces by executive order. When the 1948 presidential election arrived, nearly everyone believed Truman would lose. His opponent, Republican Thomas E. Dewey, was so far ahead in the polls that newspapers confidently predicted his victory. But Truman refused to give up. He embarked on a famous whistle-stop train tour across the country, giving fiery, off-the-cuff speeches from the back of his railroad car. He spoke directly to the American people, connecting with farmers, workers, and veterans. In one of the greatest political upsets in American history, Truman won the election. A famous photograph captured him gleefully holding up a newspaper with the incorrect headline, "Dewey defeats Truman." It was a testament to his fighting spirit. After leaving the White House in 1953, Harry Truman returned to his simple life in Independence, Missouri. He had no pension and lived modestly, writing his memoirs and overseeing the construction of his presidential library. He enjoyed his retirement, taking daily walks and speaking with visitors, never losing his connection to the common person. When he died in 1972, he was remembered as the man from Independence, the unexpected president who met enormous challenges with courage and common sense. Today, Harry Truman is remembered as a decisive leader who guided America through one of the most critical periods in its history, making tough choices that shaped the modern world and proved that an ordinary man could rise to do extraordinary things.